weekend. I come on here, give you a little preview. My show is live 6 to 9 p.m. on channel 127 Progress on SiriusXM. And from now to May 31st, it's free. That's right, absolutely free. So I'm here to encourage you to come watch my show. Let me tell you what's going on tonight. First of all, 169. That means we're 169 days away from the most important election of our lives. If Donald Trump gets you angry, hold on to that anger. Or at least tap into it every time you wonder if we can beat Trump, or if you wonder you should get involved or not, or does your vote matter? Stay angry. That's how we win this election. Now, on a bizarre note, a short time ago, if you don't know this is actual news, I'm not making it up, Donald Trump told the press he's been taking hydrochloroquine, the drug he was touting, for about a week and a half. Just blurted it out. And the media was just stunned. He said he asked the doctor, it was okay, and the doctor said, yeah, take it. So if Trump is taking that medicine that he touted, the question, of course, is then, will he follow his other advice that he's touted, like, will he soon inject himself with Lysol? Will he insert some kind of light into a place where the sun doesn't shine? All these questions and more. I don't know. I will say this about the hydrochloroquine. He did say he asked his doctor, do not take that medication without speaking to your doctor. There are risks associated if you have heart problems, especially in the past. So on the show today, we're going to talk about a couple of big things. One, first and foremost, is the idea of, on Saturday, President Obama gave 2 commencement addresses. And in those speeches, he did more than inspire young people graduating high school and historically black colleges, universities. He reminded us of what a president should sound like. There was a man talking about compassion and empathy and unifying a country and standing together to help the least of our society. And guess what? He didn't make the speeches about him. Donald Trump, I'm not exaggerating. I'll play a clip of my show. In 2017, he gave the commencement of the U.S. Coast Guard. And in the middle of the speech, he broke from it and said, nobody's been treated worse from the media than me, and went on to his personal victimhood. Even on the graduation day of the U.S. Coast Guard, it's still all about Trump. So we're going to play some clips from President Obama, which was really some great words of advice. The idea of don't be a child. Don't go for the easy fix. Don't be selfish. Think of the big picture. How can we help our fellow Americans? And specifically, over and over, he talked about being part of a community, that we are all in this together, and that even if your community is not being attacked, and he didn't mention Trump by name, but you know what he's saying, be there for the other communities. That's what this is all about. We are all here for our sister and our brothers. We are our sister and brothers' keepers. It is up to us to stand united. And those were President Obama's words. I'll play some of the clips. It was powerful stuff and so needed. In a contrast to Donald Trump, who is the what's in it for me president. It's always me, I. I'm the victim. What can you do for me? No one's been treated worse. Unbelievably. And of course, on Fox News, Karl Rove today slammed President Obama for doing this, saying it is so unseemly for a former president to take the virtual commencement ceremony for a series of historically black colleges and universities and turn it into a political drive-by shooting. Yes, of course, that is racist dog whistle. I can't repeat this enough. Donald Trump is not an aberration of the GOP. He is a manifestation of what they're all about. He doesn't use the racist dog whistles like they do. He uses the bullhorn, which makes it more uncomfortable for the pretend intellectual Republicans who are at cocktail parties who want to pretend, oh no, we weren't being racist. We're not about white supremacy, of course. Well, then Trump is just very in your face about it. Karl Rove reminds us what old-time dog whistle racist politicians are about. Getting away from just the tone and tenor of President Obama, reminding us what a president should sound like, the idea of someone who makes us proud when they speak, who appeals to our better angels to unite us as opposed to divide us. On a more substantive issue, on Friday night, late, once again, Donald Trump fired another inspector general. And I don't think the inspector generals get enough discussion about why this whole law was created. And it's something I talked about on Ali Velsh's show on Sunday morning on MSNBC. Inspector Generals were created by a 1978 law. It was 2 years after Watergate. It was a response to Watergate. It was a response to a lawless president named Richard Nixon. And this was a way to try to bring the executive branch sort of as much as Congress can, because there's constitutional questions about what Congress can do to the executive branch, but to have people there, inspector generals, who will investigate and root out fraud and corruption. That's one of their big things. And fraud and corruption is Trump's 2020 slogan. Anyone there to root out fraud and corruption, Donald Trump's going to replace. And he did. He got rid of Steve Linick. And Steve Linick, as we're learning from reporting, so we don't know exactly what the reporting is, twofold investigation into Mike Pompeo, the Secretary of State. First, Mike Pompeo and his wife, Susan, who does not work for the government, using the government apparatus for their personal errands, using our tax dollars so they can send out members of the State Department to go pick up their dog at the groomer, and pick up their son from the train station, and do personal errands for them. Also, the idea that Susan Pompeo, again, doesn't work for the government, taking trips with Pompeo, like to the Middle East, that we're paying for, and she's getting her own personal security detail, although apparently it did not go through the normal way of doing that to get approved. Secondly, a brand new level of this that the chair of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, Eliot Engel, said just a short time ago, he had asked the Inspector General to look into Donald Trump and Pompeo's declaring an emergency and selling weapons to Saudi Arabia without consulting Congress. And here's the reality of all this. What's the details of these investigations? We're not sure. But when I tell you about the Inspector General and his background that Trump fired, you might have an idea of why he was fired. Steve Linick, before he was an Inspector General, served as a federal prosecutor in the U.S. Attorney's Office in 2 different offices for 10 years. After that, he worked in the Department of Justice, focusing on white-collar crime and fraud. That person has to scare Trump and Pompeo, because Steve Linick is the kind of person that's going to find out exactly the facts and any crimes and document it. Again, I'm not saying Mike Pompeo committed crimes yet, but what Donald Trump did was fire this prosecutor who worked as the IG investigating Mike Pompeo. Forget Obamagate. That doesn't exist. This is Pompeo-gate. It may be Trump-gate. And once again, we're finding out that our federal laws that actually were there to ensure transparency and root out corruption are actually weak. And they're weak because when they were passed, even this one after Watergate, they did not contemplate a lawless, corrupt president like Donald Trump would come into office without any regard for the rule of law, without any regard for checks and balances, without any regard for our Constitution, and do what he wants, including protecting people who work for him from allegations that maybe they engaged in misconduct, maybe a crime. We don't know, but he fired the prosecutor. And who did he put in place as Inspector General? Mike Pence's former advisor from the state of Indiana. Can you say cover up? Say it with me, cover up. This is outrageous. We are watching Watergate times 20 with this guy. And I'm not even being hyperbolic. It's just off the charts what we've seen. And when you think about this, it goes back to my first point about 169 days the election. If you hear about Donald Trump's idea of privilege, like he's above the law, his family's above the law, Ivanka's above the law, Jared's above the law, Mike Pompeo, I hope this deep down angers you. That the idea that the wealthy, they think they're better than us, that they live in a different set of rules, and they're not held to be accountable. And that might be true on a practical level. But when it comes to elected officials, at least we should start there and say no. And I hope it pisses you off, because stay angry, because that's how we win the election. So again, tune into my show. It's free. Tonight I'm joined by famed Democratic political consultant James Carville. Is going to be on live. Why? I'm asking one question. How do we win this election? That's all I want to hear. He was the last Democratic campaign manager for the last Democratic candidate who beat an incumbent president. He ran Bill Clinton's campaign in 1992. How do we win this election? And then third hour, Rick Unger, journalist and radio host, is going to join us. Again, it's free. Go to SiriusXM, start streaming. I'm on channel 127 Progress. Hope you tune in. Hope you join the conversation. Talk to you in a little while.